Hey, so it's Goldie, and I'm back with another video. Today, I'm talking a little bit about Judge Mathis and his pursuit to win his woman back. Now, I remember when I posted about this, and a lot of people thought their split was due to cheating. But I don't know these people, and I can't say he hasn't cheated. But what was stated in the video that we'll get into in just a minute is that he had been gone for weeks at a time and that they were still living together, and that basically his wife had filed the paperwork because she was putting her foot down. Now, the wife basically had to file to let him know that she's not playing with him and is prepared to leave if he can't take her seriously. And a lot of times, that's what it comes down to. So many women give men chance after chance after chance, and the man, it just doesn't register to him until he sees that you are finally about to leave. And see, I don't really think it's so much about splitting assets that made Judge Mathis rethink this whole divorce thing, but I think that it's more about splitting 40 years worth of life together that shook him the most. These two know each other inside and out. They know each other's families. They know who gonna cut up. They know who gonna beg for stuff. And they know who gonna be there for them if they need anything. They know the dynamics of each other's families inside and out. And essentially, they have become each other's family as well. The divorce wouldn't make this relationship go away. It would just have been a messy and possibly unnecessary, petty formality that had to happen because Judge Mathis refused to hear his wife's concerns. So, to be honest, I'm happy that he's making things right. I love seeing couples work through it and get back on track. In my post, I mentioned the importance of standards and boundaries. And what I think happened during this time is that Linda allowed him to go on and be the entertainer and provider that he was, providing her a great life. But in so doing, she unknowingly allowed herself to become third, fourth, fifth, maybe even 10th priority on his list. Most of us think that we only need standards and boundaries to get the man. But nah, sis, you need them to keep the man too. Men, especially men who have married you, provided a good life for you, giving you children and taking care of those children well, sometimes forget what it took to get you, that they must also continue that to keep you. This is why honoring your standards and boundaries is so important. Once he gets comfortable playing with you, ignoring your desires, placing you at the bottom of his priority list, the only thing he will hear is the silence of your absence. And it's too late by then. Anything short of that is just an idle threat to him. And that's the sad reality. It's important that you learn how to effectively communicate your standards and boundaries, and not only communicate them effectively, but reinforce them. You'll have to reinforce them through the marriage if you want that long-lasting, to death do us part marriage. You get the relationship and marriage that your standards and boundaries dictate. Let's take a quick second to go over the video from the airport to really hear what Judge Mathis said was going on from his perspective.
Judge Mathis, how are you today, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
I'm doing all right. I want to ask.
I'm not good. Rather, it's the worst days of my life. How about that?
Okay, well, I'm sorry to hear that. I want to.
So the judge let you know right away that his lady had him shaking in his boots from the from the get-go, okay? He wanted you to know that nah, he wasn't doing fine and everything wasn't okay. These were, as he described, the worst days of his life. Now, last week we talked a little bit about cheating back and slanging puncha, remember? But see, All that resulted in was a whole bunch of game. What Linda did was file that paperwork, and that stopped the judge right in his tracks. That's what he heard. That right there was what caused him to pause and really take a listen to what Linda said. And that is something that slanging Poochon could never ever do. So this idea that we can go tit for tat or play games, it's a waste of time. The reality is, if you are being mistreated, if your man is ignoring you, if he's not prioritizing you, then the one ace that you have, the ace of spades, baby, that you have in your hand is to file that paperwork. He's gonna hear you loud and clear. Let's keep going.
Sorry to hear that. I wanted to ask you, with news of the separation, how are you holding up?
Not holding up very well. I would say the other man, maybe I'll be an example for other men, cautionary tale. Don't neglect your wife. You see how me at the airport now, flying out, as I have for 40 or for 25 years. My wife has been third, serving the community, taping my show, having fun with friends. That's what happens, guys. Never be too busy or never have too much fun beyond your wife.
So I do want to.
So you can tell that Linda wasn't even on his radar. She just wasn't on his list at all. He said that for 25 years, she's been third, but he clearly and quickly listed 3 things that he had already prioritized in front of her. And for a long time, 25 years from what he said, Linda allowed that to persist. And that there is the issue. He knew that he wasn't prioritizing her, and she knew that she wasn't being prioritized. But a lot of times, as women who are provided for and taken care of, we let so much slide that one day we just can't take it anymore and put our foot down. But by that time, it's too late. He had gotten so used and accustomed to not paying attention to her at all that he just kept piling things on top of his obligation to her. And while she accepted it and was okay with it, it was something that she really did not want. It was something that she wasn't happy about. And it finally took this separation that he's going to go into next for her to put her foot down. Let's keep going.
So the date of separation is listed back in July 17th. Has this been coming for some time now, or was it something out the blue?
Well, ever since we started taping here in LA, I committed to staying home more and making my wife more of a priority. But as you see, I haven't. I'm still here on the road doing the same thing. And in terms of going out into another city. But I was gone for 3 weeks. That's what July 17th meant.
Would you say you two are in a good place right now, or able to maintain a friendship?
Oh yeah, we're still in the same house and we're maintaining a friendship. And I'm trying to get my wife back. I have to show her that though. Hopefully I can show her while we're there together before, and hopefully she doesn't complete the process. But I'm changing in hopes that she will. I'm gonna get my wife back. How about that?
Absolutely.
What it is.
There were also, kind of some rumors of any infidelity. Did you want to clear that up at all? You say it's solely neglect.
Well, neglect can create suspicion, certainly. And if you're gone as much as I am, you have every right to suspect. You go to work, you go serve in the community around the country, then you go with your guys to sporting events around the country, you go to other events except without your wife, hanging with you and enjoying herself with you. And so, yeah, she would have a right to suspect infidelity.
But there was none of that going on.
That's not the purpose. That's not the reason for this.
So there you have it. They are still living together. And she probably was telling him, I want to go on a trip. I want to go with you. You're not spending any time at home. I barely see you. And he just kept putting it off. Time after time after time, just putting it off. And her words were falling on deaf ears until she filed that paperwork. And I'm pretty sure Linda probably filed that paperwork without even telling him. He probably didn't even know that that paperwork had been filed until they started talking about it in the blogs. Because her saying, I'm gonna file, or we may as well not be together anymore, he wasn't caring about none of that. Even if she did say it, he probably didn't even hear her. But when he read those headlines and saw that he was about to lose his baby, what he do? Straighten up and said, I'm gonna figure this thing out. And that's exactly what he has started doing. So I'm happy to see him working towards getting their marriage back on track. But let's talk a little bit about standards and boundaries. So many of us don't know where to start when it comes to creating realistic standards and strong boundaries that we can stand by. These standards and boundaries are needed to not only get a quality man locked in with you and married to a provider and all of that, but these standards and boundaries are needed to keep that relationship that you want, that you are comfortable with, that you're happy with, growing, flourishing, and thriving for years and years to come. So let's take a second and talk about how you can begin establishing those boundaries. First, as always, you want to take some time to do some self-reflection. You want to assess your values, your needs, your desires, what you expect in a relationship, what qualities are most important to you and a prospective partner that you'll choose. This is how you'll start any endeavor with selecting a mate. You want to make sure that you are clear on who you are, what kind of future you are interested in creating for yourself, and you want to be true to yourself in this process. You don't want to settle or accept less than what you really want. You want to take time to really think about what your values are, what your needs are, and what your desires are, so that you can get to creating the future that you want to live in with this new partner. You also want to reflect on past relationships to understand what worked for you and what didn't work for you. As we grow and mature, some things that we think we like, we find out that we actually don't like at all. Now, some things that we thought we didn't like, we find out that we need a little bit more of. So you want to reflect on those past relationships to kind of understand what worked and what didn't work, and how you would like to incorporate those things or not incorporate them as you move forward. This can help you identify patterns and clarify your expectations. Next, you want to begin to practice positive communication. You want to establish open and honest communication as a standard in your relationships. Ensure that both you and your prospective partner can express feelings and concerns without fear or judgment. Now, if there's a misalignment, you are honest about the fact that that misalignment is there, and you can maturely part ways. You also want to encourage discussions about the expectations and needs that you have very early in a relationship. This is another reason why I've created my Vetting with Intentionality program. This helps you to have those conversations very early, but in a non-judgmental, non-pressure kind of approach. You can weed out those really early who are aligned with your style of communication, with the future that you've seen for yourself, with your hobbies, values, morals, character, all of that. So click the link in my bio if you are interested in learning more about that program. But you want to go ahead and continue to encourage those discussions and positive communication, so that you can get that information out early. And if we need to cut them, then we go ahead and cut them, because the last thing you want to do is waste a lot of time with a prospective partner that you are clearly misaligned with and could have made the executive decision to cut from your dating pool. Next, you want to take some time to be realistic about what those expectations you've outlined are. You want to understand that no one is perfect. You want to set standards that acknowledge human flaws and consider the importance of growth and compromise. You want to avoid idealizing your partner or the relationship and instead appreciate them for who they are. That's why you want to make sure that you choose a partner that is aligned with your idea of morals, character, values, and social interactions. All right. You understand that no man is perfect, of course, but there are some things that you just refuse to tolerate. And those things are egregious. Okay. They aren't just trivial matters, but they are really infractions of disrespect or indications of low moral character or behaviors that are unbecoming that you want to steer away from. So you want to make sure that you are realistic, but you also want to make sure that you are honoring yourself and the future that you are creating for yourself, as well as the future of those beautiful babies that you hopefully will bring into that marriage. Next, you want to be honest with yourself and recognize and acknowledge red flags. You want to educate yourself about unhealthy behaviors and relationship dynamics. You want to be alert for signs of manipulation, disrespect, or abusive behavior. And these things are all covered in that vetting with intentionality program that I mentioned a little earlier. But you want to trust your instincts. If something feels off, then it's important to address it up front and head on. Next, you want to be sure to practice self-love. You want to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth. When you value yourself, you are more likely to set and maintain healthy standards in your relationships. You want to engage in activities that boost your confidence and reinforce your belief of deserving a healthy, loving relationship. One thing I found with many women is we negotiate our standards, our worth, our value in so many different ways. Let me go ahead and take a second and also mention that just because you are a single mother, a divorced woman, a tall woman, a heavy woman, a dark woman, a light woman, any woman, like with any of your perceived flaw that has been pointed out in these social media streets, okay? I want to remind you that no matter what, you need to cultivate a strong sense of self-worth and make sure that you are operating from a place of confidence, all right? Believe and know that you deserve a healthy and loving partnership. Not only do you deserve this, but one is available to you. And let's talk quickly about how to set strong boundaries. I had so much fun making these, and I really don't want the video to go too long, so let me try to get through this as quickly as possible. You want to identify your needs. Take time to understand what you need in a relationship, including emotional, physical, and personal needs. You want to recognize your limits. Reflect on past experiences to identify situations where you felt uncomfortable or disrespected. This will help you clarify what your boundaries are. Next, you want to define those boundaries. You want to categorize your boundaries. You want to distinguish between different types of boundaries: emotional, physical, digital, physical, financial, etc., and define what is acceptable and what is not in each category. You want to be specific, clearly outline what behaviors are acceptable and which behaviors are not. For example, if you need personal space, specify what that looks like for you. Next, you want to be sure to communicate clearly. Use I statements. Frame your boundaries in a way that reflect your feelings. For example, I feel overwhelmed when we don't communicate about our plans. It's more effective than saying, you never tell me what you're doing. You also want to be consistent. Reinforce your boundaries. Consistency is key. When you communicate a boundary, make sure to stick to it. This shows that you take your boundaries serious. Address violations immediately. If a boundary is crossed, address it as soon as possible. Explain how it made you feel and reiterate the boundary. Now, the last thing you want to do is practice active listening. You want to encourage dialogue. Allow your partner to express their feelings and thoughts about your boundaries. This can lead to a more mutual understanding and respect. You want to be open to feedback. While it's important to maintain your boundaries, being open to constructive feedback can help strengthen the relationship. But now, since we've taken a little second to learn about standards and boundaries and how to reinforce them, let's take a look at Judge Mathis doing something that I know his wife is so happy to have going on back at home. Now, Judge Mathis is here doing his homework from his granddaughter. Let's take a listen.
Yeah, I did it. Got my today's practice in. No.
Now look at him sitting there, as old as he is, not able to play this simple tune on the piano. But what he's actually doing is being present in the home. He is spending time with his family. He's making memories. He's building and strengthening that relationship. He's prioritizing his wife and the family they created, and that's all she wanted. Now he got that mouth hanging open. He can barely see them keys, but he done figured it out, and he done played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star and recorded it for his grandbaby. And I know that that is something really small, but it's something that means so much when you have created an entire life with someone and birthed children and even gone on to have grandchildren, and to see your husband prioritizing the family that you guys created on into generations is just an amazing sight. Now, this only happens because Linda reinforced her standards and her boundaries. Never stop reinforcing your standards and boundaries. As I said earlier, you get the relationship, you get the marriage that your standards and your boundaries dictate. Now, Linda has been with Judge Mathis for 40 years, and she got her snack bag. All right, look at Judge Mathis right here, standing here out here after taking her out on a night on the town, looking good. That's all she has been asking for, and that's to be prioritized in her marriage. And she finally got that, and I'm so happy for her. Now, I had to speed through a little bit of this because I didn't want to make the video too long, but if y'all want me to go into more tips and strategies on how to create and reinforce or enforce those standards and boundaries, let me know in the comments below, and I'll make a full-length video over the standards and boundaries presentation that I already created. I had so much fun doing this, so it's no problem to go ahead and go deeper into creating those standards and boundaries and enforcing them. So if you ladies need just something to listen to, or want to get deeper into crafting those standards and boundaries that you're already working on, don't hesitate to leave a comment for me down below. Thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for going on this journey with me today. Feel free to like, comment, share this video, and let me know if you are interested in seeing more videos like this, or what other things you'd like for me to cover. Thanks so much, and talk to y'all again soon. Bye. Oh, remember that your love is golden. Bye.